Some of the things that have changed is more implementation rather than discussion. We're
Okay.
trying to move forward with implementing programs rather than discussing them to death. I think that the staff has done a great job of
That's great.
helping me to see the problems of implementation, because immediately when you go in, you start thinking that it's going to be just as easy as it was when you owned your own company. The thing is, it's not that way in an international organization. So I had to learn a few steps. And the first year, I think I was learning steps, but at the same time, I was able to develop everyone with the idea that every member is an asset, and we need to go after each member to be involved. Because the more involvement of a member, all of a sudden they become so interested in it that it really pays off for the overall association.
Hey there, welcome to the Stormwater World podcast. Shout out to our parent company, Digital Stormwater. We're out there making an impact in stormwater one click at a time. We put more stormwater people in front of your stormwater products and services. How we get there is totally up to you. Some of the services that we offer are social media management, Google, LinkedIn, and Meta ads, SEO and content creation, website builds and updates, AI automations, consulting, and a lot more. So the question is who do you know that needs our help? If you're on YouTube, you can click on that QR code to learn more, or you can give us a call at 844-451-2534, or you can visit us at digitalstormwater.com and schedule a call with us today. I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening to this podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you. Let's get back to the episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Stormwater World podcast. I'm excited to have Mr. Jerry Sanders, president of the IECA, with me today. This is part 2 of the IECA and what it's all about and why you should consider being a member of the IECA. But first, let me introduce our guest today. Mr. Jerry Sanders is the past president and CEO of Sanko Design Incorporated, a soil stabilization and erosion control company established by Mr. Sanders in 1975. 1975. Oh, sorry. Did I say that twice? That was the year I was born, Jerry. I digress. The firm was and is presently serving as a general contracting firm specializing in creek channel and slope stabilization under the management and ownership of Cardinal Strategies. Mr. Sanders serves as a consultant for the design and implementation of the construction activities of the company and provides training and educational seminars to a wide range of professional organizations involved in soil stabilization and erosion control. Mr. Sanders has been an active member of the IECA, the International Erosion Control Associations, since 1997. Presently, Mr. Sanders is serving as president of the IECA board. Mr. Sanders received his BSE degree in biology and earth science from Henderson State University in 1973. Mr. Sanders has 40 plus years of hands-on experience in soil stabilization and erosion control. As a professional educator and instructor, Mr. Sanders has developed and taught training sessions in site analysis, soil stabilization, steep slope remediation, and biotechnical urban channel development for the International Erosion Control Association, the North Texas Council of Governments, the State of Texas chapter of the National Society of Professional Engineers, and others.
That's it.
Yeah, it is nice. That's it, right? Not much. Just a busy 40-year career. That's all. Thanks for taking your time to come on the podcast and visit with me, Jerry. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoy being here.
Would you like to start with kind of, gosh, I mean, where do we start? We had talked a couple of minutes, there before I hit the record button pre-show, and now that I read your bio, I mean, gosh, we could start in a whole lot of places. But you want to kind of just take everybody through kind of like the impact that, since we're here to talk about the ICA, that it's had kind of on your professional carear, and how you've ended up in the position you're in.
Yeah, I can give you an outline of kind of how it has impacted me over the years. When I originally started my company, of course, I was like most people. I was totally involved in the company and couldn't look up to see anything. I was working long hours and trying to make it go. And I worked, as you mentioned, I got out in 73 and I started my company in 75. which I know everybody's going, my God, how old is that guy?
I mean, come on. You guys are going to want to check this one out on YouTube. He's looking good. He's looking good for starting that company at 75.
So anyway, I started the company and I was totally involved in it, but it seemed like I could never get over the hump. I was always coming up against things that I didn't understand or that I had to constantly were challenging me as a business owner, as well as being in the field doing the work. I attended the IECA in Atlanta in 97. And when I got there, I thought I was just going to go and take some courses, and just try to get some information about some of the items I was running up against in channel remediation. We were having lots of landslides and slips and slumps. They were developing here in the Texas area, and nobody was addressing those. And so I saw it as a niche profession. And so I went in that direction. And when I got there, I met people from all over the world, and I got information from a lot of different people on things that I could do. So many things that it made me wonder what I had been missing. Of course, when I hit the trade show floor, that's the first time I had seen numerous products that were out there. I was continually doing all of my installations based upon what was very local. And now I understood that I could actually access things that were being developed in other parts of the world, as well as even methods and techniques. And so I spent the next, I guess, 5 to 10 years just trying to learn, just learning as much as I possibly could, and tried to become the material expert in this part of the country because no one else was involved. At that time, the gentleman who got me to go to the IECA was Dave Manders, who was originally the center for the Dallas Cowboys and then went into the landscaping business. And
Wow.
yeah, Dave
So
was a member.
you're in Dallas, Jerry? Are you in
Yes, I'm
Dallas?
in
Okay.
Dallas,
All right.
Texas.
I'm in Orange, Texas. So I'm outside of
Oh,
Houston. Yes. I mean, so in Texas terms, I'm right down the street.
yeah, right down the street. But no, I just learned a lot, and once I started being a material and also technique, I guess, expert in this area, my business exploded. I took off and was able to bring on people, train people, and develop it into a well-recognized group. Then I guess after 47 years of that, I was offered an opportunity to sell my company and still be involved in the more challenging projects. Cardinal has offered me that opportunity to where when they have a very challenging project, I get to consult. I get to be there and work on it. And that's what I love to do. And so selling to them was a good thing for me and for all of my people that worked for me. And at the same time, just has continued to allow me to be involved. And that's about
I think
it. I'm
that's
still
awesome. I
involved.
think, congratulations. Congratulations on multiple fronts. Number one, for creating the business that you created in an area that needed it. And then two, for creating a business that was able to withstand the test of time as well as be able to be sold. So congratulations to you. And then I think as a business owner, you know, you were always problem solving. And so to be able to build something and sell something and then be able to stay involved in something you love uh, from the aspect of now you get to just everybody else gets to push the paper, but you get to help solve the problem still. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
And it
great.
sounds like yeah, it's like the best of both worlds, right? And it
Right.
sounds like that your involvement with the ICA had a direct impact in the early stages of your business.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. The IECA did have a great impact. And when I say IECA, I'm talking about the members, the individuals involved. All of the individuals are what really impact your life when you're there, getting to know them, and then being able to call somebody when you run into something you don't understand, and they can walk you through it. It's been great, and now that we have Zoom, you can actually see the process going on, and they can show you exactly what you need to do. But that's one of the good things. The thing that my selling of the business allowed me to do was to give back, and so I immediately ran for the board and tried to give back from that aspect. I had been in the professional development division of IECA, which, if you know how IECA is set up, we're basically an education group. We try to train and educate. And so I wanted to be part of that and immediately jumped in there. And ultimately, here I am. I'm president now. So we'll see if I can do my job.
But you've been, so this is your second term?
Yes.
And so what kind of things have you seen over your different terms there? And I guess you're getting ready to start a new term. So over your previous term, what kind of, new initiatives or like what has changed? I mean, obviously there's probably a lot of things that have changed over the years that you could speak to, but as far as recent changes or things that, you feel like is going to have a big impact on the future, what would you say, the future looks like, I guess, for ICA then, or what's going on?
Well, some of the things that have changed is more implementation rather than discussion. We're
Okay.
trying to move forward with implementing programs rather than discussing them to death. I think that the staff has done a great job of
That's great.
helping me to see the problems of implementation, because immediately when you go in, you start thinking that it's going to be just as easy as it was when you owned your own company. The thing is, it's not that way in an international organization. So I had to learn a few steps. And the first year, I think I was learning steps, but at the same time, I was able to develop everyone with the idea that every member is an asset, and we need to go after each member to be involved. Because the more involvement of a member, all of a sudden they become so interested in it that it really pays off for the overall association. Most associations have less than a 10% involvement, and we have more than that, quite a bit more now. But I think the key is that if I can get the membership started in that direction of involvement, then we could build from the chapter level on up, from the grassroots up. I think our education has to be honed so that it attracts not only the local education for our regional areas and our chapters, but also reaches out to the international crowd so that we can also take in the many techniques and skills that they offer from different parts of the world that we miss out on. So I've implemented a number of different, I guess you'd call them proposals or projections of things that we're going to do. Samantha actually went to China this year because they have expressed over the
Yeah,
last 2 years that they would like to start a chapter. And that's a long process. It's not something you can just do overnight because of everything from the monetary exchange to the culture to
sure.
the government,
Right.
working through the embassy. And Samantha, of course, has so much training in that coming out of Washington that really helps. And then we've implemented some other things to retain membership, to try and build our regional conferences, to try and assist more in that. And I think in those steps we're moving forward. I think now the thing is to define the actual responsibilities of each committee and each portion of our association, so they know exactly what's expected of them, so that they can feel comfortable as they become involved and start producing for the association. Yeah. And we have some top-notch people.
Yeah, I mean, so it's great. It's perfect because I mean, when we were talking pre-call, like I was letting you know that this is part two of ICA, and everything you're saying is really in line, and I didn't even realize that I was going to have a chance to get to speak with the South Central chapter when I got to speak with Jeff King and Julie Morelli here recently. And so you didn't know because I didn't know. And so, and so it's great to hear, what they are saying at the local chapter and what you're saying on the national chapter, national level is right in step. So that's fantastic. And I do think it comes down to, it is an education first, in my opinion, company, but it's the network and the people. And it's funny. It's like, I know that, I always have a safety net in my life because I know Julie Morelli through ICA. And if I ever get, you can stump this chump. can't stump that girl, right? So if I got a stormwater question, I can reach out to Julie, and one,
Right.
I know she's going to respond, and two, she'll get me an answer. So the networking part of it and the people that you meet are definitely a big part of any association, but definitely with the ICA. Um, with that thought process, do you think that if I were, I guess if I was, like just that new person in the industry, what would you tell me? Like, how would you tell me to get involved? Like, what would you tell me to get the most out of my membership? Right? Like,
You
how
know,
would you? Yeah. Uh,
it's the same thing I tell young people when they get ready to go away to college. Don't
Okay.
sit in your room. Get out and get involved. Um,
Yep.
if they want to get the most out of the conference, they have to get involved in the conference in some manner. Now that may be just attending class for the first few years, or going to the trade show floor, things like that. Last year, we implemented a situation where we took all of the um, university partners, our young professionals, took them and took them into the trade show floor so that they could introduce them to all of the vendors, because it's a little scary when you're that young to go up and talk to a vendor. But by doing that, not only did the vendors get an opportunity to tell them what they were all about, but the students then had something positive to take back to their classes. And I think that's what happens even if you're just a new person in business and you want to learn more about the business part of it. You have to get in with both the membership and our memberships, which is our professional group, which is all of our salespeople. I mean, some of the smartest people in the industry are in sales because they have seen it. They've gone to the testing labs. They've done all of it, and they can bring that information to you just in a moment's time, where you can spend a lot of time researching on the internet and never find it. But you can
Yeah.
if you go to the conference.
And I think sometimes, in talking about conferences, and by the way, everybody, so Jerry's mentioned in the conference, we're speaking specifically. Now there are regional conferences, but we're also going to speak specifically today about the big national conference that's
Mhm.
happening this year in Richmond, Virginia, and it's February 25th to 28th. So mark your calendars, register, go. But I feel like that there is a lot of great knowledge
Mhm.
at the in the exhibit hall, and I definitely, like you're saying, encourage people to talk to the people that they consider to be salespeople.
Mhm.
Um, and I also look at it like that. Sometimes there's some trepidation, but then also you think, well, maybe I'm not the decision maker, or I'm not the buyer, and so I'm wasting their time. Don't look at it like that. Those folks, they're there. A lot of them do they want to sell their products? Yeah, but they also they want you to know about their products. So they're more than happy to talk to you about your situation, your project, where you are in your career, and answer your questions. And I think they're all very helpful. So
Well, the thing is you're not the decision maker today, but you will be tomorrow. And the more you know, the better off you are. That's just all there
right,
is to it.
right. So what other? So did we got some notes here? Like, did you want to? I mean, I feel like you touched on it, but did you want to touch? Did you want to go any deeper on kind of the organizational structure and the international outreach, or kind of do you feel like you covered that, or do you want to go into that any more depth?
Well, I think something that's important for our membership to understand is in international outreach. It takes, it's not an easy thing to do because you're having to deal with so many things, like I mentioned, monetary,
Mhm.
government, and so on. The other thing is basically the different economic basis of different countries around the world. We have to take all of that stuff into consideration of what their economics are and how do they deal with their erosion control problems. Some countries are not as advanced as far as products, but more advanced than us in technique and use of biotechnical methods, or what we call bioengineering. There's a number of them that have just unbelievable. For example, Malaysia, a lot of the other countries in that area all use more biotechnical or bio engineering methods for their seashore erosion, for their hillside erosion, all of those type of things. And those techniques work here too, just as well as they work there. But sometimes we forget that. Now we've gone to using plastics, which now what's happening? Yeah, we got to get rid of that. So we're
Yeah.
pulling our plastic usage
Oops.
back, and we're looking at exactly what they're doing. And so now we've got a whole new ball game going on where we need to understand that. And I think they need to understand how to use some of the products that we have, because there's a lot of products that are produced that can solve problems for them easily, but it's a back and forth, a trade, and the organization has this opportunity to be that link between that in education.
That's interesting. So, do you know, are there going to be any of the international folks coming over to Richmond to speak, or have we kind of learned enough to where are we going to have any speakers that are going to be presenting this year on some of those techniques that you mentioned?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked over the entire schedule to see what speakers are coming. I do know that we will have some that are coming over. When Samantha was in China, there were a number of them that had research papers and studies they had done that they wanted to present. Of course, it's not you just want to present and get to come, but you've got to
Yeah,
also translate because
right,
most of
right,
us don't
yeah,
speak
right,
Chinese.
yeah,
And AI is great, but during the conference over there, they had IA screens where it translated. But realistically, sometimes it would translate something a little different than what was being said, and so
I bet.
it's not perfect yet. And so as we get closer and closer to that, that'll help us. We do have, of course, our Ibero-America chapter brings a lot of techniques and interest, which they have presentations that they're going to present. We have other presentations coming in from some of the other, uh, I guess, areas that are using more biological remediation procedures, but we don't have the extent that we need, and we don't have it down on the regional level. We need to have biological technology also taught in the regional level, but there again, it takes that internet interaction, networking to make relationships so that, for example, you mentioned Jeff King was South Central, so he feels comfortable calling Wing in Malaysia and asking him, would he do a Zoom presentation for their chapter?
Hmm.
Wing contacted me, and I actually was one of the speakers in the Malaysian chapter. Uh, and of course, fortunately
That's
in
cool.
Malaysia, they speak English very well
Yeah,
as their native tongue. But yeah,
that's
it's interesting. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I think it's So what's the future hold then? What like or well, yeah, I guess we can step back. What have I forgotten to mention about with the conference that you'd like to make sure everybody knows about? Is there anything that we need to touch on that we haven't?
Well, I think it's going to be an exciting conference. The MAC is going to be Mid Atlantic chapter. Is going to be the host chapter. They're a very active chapter. A lot of great people involved in that, and so it's going to be a fun time for fun. It's also going to be very educational because we're going to be bringing a lot of people in, and we have new board members that are coming in. We have Joe Johnson out of New Zealand, who's on the board this next year. Matt Welch, who's been on the board, will move to the executive committee. Uh, there's just a lot of activity going on there. And of course, we have Michael Francombe, who's Australian. We have Nikki, who's coming back in from Panama. So we've got a really good mix on our board
Yeah.
uh, from all over, even coming from the different coasts here in the U.S.
Mhm.
Um, my one area that I'm a little short on right now is Canada. I was hoping to bring someone in from Canada, but we didn't have anyone from that area run this last year, so it kind of stifled me on that. But we're looking for it. We're looking because there's some excellent people, leaders from that chapter up there. So
Yeah.
we're hoping for that.
I actually had
Other than
somebody
that,
reach
it's
out to me from a Canadian company, and they're coming on the podcast. It's actually so it's not StormCon with Endeavor. That's not StormCon the conference. It's not StormCon as in Tom's company in Dallas. It's StormCon.ca. It's StormCon out of Canada. And so a
okay.
gentleman by the name of Luca is going to be coming on the podcast. and telling and explaining how they do things in Canada. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So I will put a bug in his ear for you, sir.
You do that because I'm looking.
And he may watch this. He may watch this and then let me and say, "Hey, yeah, it's kind of crazy the how we're definitely able, we're reaching people." So yeah, so anything you're looking for, Jerry, go ahead and put it out there. We might have a listener that takes you up on it, so be careful. Um, anything we missed? Like, what's the future look like? What's the future of the ICA look like? Or it sounds like you got a lot of seems like there was a lot of initiatives, and then you've taken charge and helped take those initiatives and help them kind of start the path of implementation. But now, what's the future look like over the next
I
5 or 10
think
years?
it's really bright. I think it will be even brighter once we get more of the initiatives passed, where uh, each individual who does volunteer isn't left out there on an island to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. And I think that's going to help us. Right now, our membership is growing. It's started the opposite direction. We were stale, of course, from COVID through. It was almost dead
Okay,
level.
gotcha.
We have had some membership growth that's starting up. I think that's going to increase as we get a little bit more in depth in our education at the regional level,
Hmm.
bringing in local people at the regional levels to present, as well as uh, then transfer them on even into the international level. Um, but uh, the conference itself is ahead right now. I mean, registrations are ahead of last year, and last year was way ahead of the year before. And
That's great.
so I'm looking forward to a really good conference. I would just like for us to go in and literally take over the hotel there at the conference center, and everybody you see in the lobby would be from the IECA,
Nice.
so that you could just you hear dirt talk the whole day you're there.
Right.
And that would be so great if we have our membership get so involved that we actually take over the hotel and then take over the conference center. It'll be great. It'll be
That's fantastic. Well, we talked about membership pricings and opportunities and whatnot in ICA Part One with the local chapter. I'm not going to go over all that again with everybody. If you are interested in joining the ICA, you can see all the different options that they have at IECA.org. And if you are interested in being part of the conference or registering to come to the conference, you can also find that on the IECA's website at IECA.org, and that'll all be linked in the show notes. Jerry, any final thoughts? And it doesn't have to necessarily be on the IECA; it could be on stormwater in general, as we head, further into 2025.
great. Well, it's an ongoing problem, and the only way it's going to get solved is if we all pull together. And I think the ICA is one of the good bridge builders to pull us together.
I
I'm
agree,
looking forward to
sir.
it.
I am happy that I got to meet you through the organization. That's how you and I have met and got to meet over the years. And I appreciate again you taking the time to sit down with me and visit about the ICA as well as about the conference coming up in February. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See everybody in Richmond. That's the key.
That's it. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.